2 o'clock 31 minutes, 14 November 2023. We will kind of have our conversation here, quite simple, quite clear. It's the same thing we had kind of. We offered the internal control to the architecture, considering this complaint, which is basically the misuse of power in solidarity, interval as institutional corruption, treasonous everything and all things. We expect, of course, that the solution, because it's a conclusive case, and this conclusive case is kind of totally conclusive. You know, variables are in Blazing Act, and the most important thing is that the idea, when you delay, indeed you are allowing the aggression against the right, and in general the aggression, you took the space of the right, replacing by the violence against the right until this right is got totally suppressed. And of course that this is an absurd if we are considering the case as conclusive with variables individualized at specific segments. We did everything to preserve ourselves, kind of. I'm not a criminal, I do not support the idea, and even with all those glamorous thing, that is a big illusion created about the organized crime and all things. We always had clear and told that is an industry of disgrace, a murder, a blood money all the time. And of course that I think that, in my opinion, is quite unfair try to put as my qualities everything I had to face against mostly all the time alone, and I request the struggle to with authorities with legitimacy to kill, because in an area like the US Embassy or Embassy of Portugal, considering the aggressions as Brazil and peer misusers, violating rights, hurting rights by guarantees suppressed and guarantees that can be touched, and rights that kind of are essential basic rights or human rights. Of course that you will be at least listed by those courts and the architecture, and this list is enough to do the conviction. And then if we had the conviction, we will not have them in a situation as kind of pandemic criminal with authorities allowed to kill, except during the transfers as they applied in a neutral area, maybe. But they can kill each other inside. It's something that will go at the flight. My purpose is always the same: self-preservation, because I'm not a criminal, and you can put on me the qualities that I do not have no interest, and do not support. And for sure, I consider really repulsive. The variables, the people, you could be really beautiful, but with this kind of thing, I'm really sorry, we are in different sides, and I'm a single creditor. It's not without a purpose, has a purpose on it. It means that it's my right and my interest, and some interest we have probably gravitation around my right that got hurt, as protection, for instance, as my privacy or my instruments or my things, my intellectual thought and freedom to create freely, and other elements of the Constitution in Brazil that got hurt, and the treasonous acts against the people that going at the institution that security hurt foreigners equally. And by this, the interest has legitimacy to claim in the way they felt and exposed her as right. And one more time, with the right as protection, for instance, it's the same right at the court as interest to have protection, or the judge, or the CAO, whatever. And I think that you had enough, but you know, had has a lot of have a lot of things to be accomplished. And indeed, this lot of things must have a unique single act, a decision, which is your profession. It's your duty. It's your institutional role. As I told, I never should be here doing this because I was doing my research in my private living. And my area is administration. Take a look. See, I never considered as a struggle with authorities with legitimacy to kill. I never planned kind of many of those things, except as you know, have the reading of the context and how the dynamic movement goes on by specific hands changing the perception of things and circumstances. And by this, we recognize the procedural fraud and the conviction also as obstruction, false testimony, and all things that are the reversal thing as lack of will. As I told many times with the OECD, the NATO and all, there are the will, but the will is always motivated or having as motivation the criminal purpose. So the first accusation is corruption, the second accusation is functional corruption, the third accusation is first is corruption, the second is functional corruption, the third accusation is international corruption, the fourth accusation was the trust as institutional corruption segment with functional use generally for achievement as illicit gains, advantage, or economic power, even by electoral fraud. The last one, the application of all these as power misusers, doing power misuse to cover power previously misused as the trace and the tails to achieve this situation as pandemic criminals. You will got bombed for sure, right? As responsibility, it's reciprocity police, international police accepted. Take a look, the big mess down here, and I'm a single one, right? Can you picture two? Have a great chair empty, not linked with, you know, organized crime. And as you can observe, I have something always on my mind. Take a look at the chart that you got the point. Have a great night. By the way, limited resources and dependence, but you in collinear movement, and the stimulation sometimes is to disgrace because concurrent actors will run the same institutional role by conflict. It's a premise as administration. Have a great night.